Hello and welcome to another video. In today's video, I am back and we're going to introduce you to our newest tiny arrival to the workshop and talk a bit about our plans moving forward. My exams are finished now, and I think the time and effort that I put in revising for them and preparing for them was time well spent, because the exams felt relatively easy in general for me, but obviously I won't know how well they went until results day, which is in late August, so that's the last I'm going to talk of them until then. Now, since the last time I was on here, the Bolens GT2000 project is out of here, back to its owner, and as far as we're aware, he's happy with that, so that is job done on that. And the workshop is still looking pretty full at the moment. Now, if we just go through what's in here, we've got the Ride-a-matic just here. The only reason this is in here is because I got this out after I finished my last exam and took this for a ride. Other than one wire being disconnected, which we just quickly look back up again, this started up pretty quickly and easily, so we're very happy that this still runs as it should do, since it's been quite a while since we've used this tractor. Down that end of the workshop, on the workbench, we have the Moto Standard 1010. Very small progress has been made on that, not much though. In the middle we have the Bolens 1054. The reason that's in here is, in a previous video you may remember, we finished rebuilding a tube frame PTO to go on that. And obviously we fitted all of that up and it's still in here from when we did that work. In the corner we have our new 1961 Ride-a-matic, which you may have noticed we took the deck off because it's more space efficient to store them that way. And on the front you can see it's got tri-rib front tyres, and that wasn't originally the plan. The original plan was just to put some of our spare grass tyres on there, because the originals weren't holding air, but turns out neither were our spare tyres, so in the end we had to put on a new set of tri-ribs, which is less than ideal because they're kind of our more perfect tyres for a Ride-a-matic, because we got 3 sets of those when we got the tri-ribs for the 62, but they do look good on a Ride-a-matic, so not sure if they'll come off in future, but we'll see. Then obviously the 62 Ride-a-matic, as I just pointed out, is sitting there too. And still the 1960 Ride-a-matic chassis, they're waiting to be worked on again, which will happen very soon. And then obviously, last but not least, the new arrival, which I will introduce in a second. Take your guesses as to what it is now, just from the general shape of it. Now, before we reveal what is under the cover, let's just talk about sizing quickly. Now, obviously this is tiny, but just to provide a reference, that's the sizing of it compared to the Ride-a-9, which really isn't a big tractor. It's kind of comparable size-wise to our Bolens Ride-a-matics, around the same size as one of those, and that is definitely not a big tractor by any means. Now, if that isn't really relatable, I have a tape measure here, so the tallest point sits about 33 inches from the ground, but the hood itself at this level is about 25 inches off the ground, and lengthwise it is about 4 foot long. So yeah, absolutely tiny, this thing. But we will now give you the big reveal. It is a 1966 Landmaster Super Deluxe ride-on. So now we will go around the tractor and talk about some of the stuff we've noticed. First thing to say is we really don't know much about this type of tractor at all. So if anyone has any more information on these Landmaster ride-ons, it would be very much appreciated. Specifically, we're looking for a parts or service or owner's manual, so that we can start to understand some of the parts better. Now we do have a friend here in the UK who has restored one of these quite nicely, but he lives about 3 hours away, so it's not like we can kind of get him to have a look at ours and tell us how things should look, because at the moment we're just kind of going off of a few pictures for how things should be. However, when he was restoring his, he posted this on one of the tractor forums, which is a page from a Landmaster sales brochure. Obviously you can see the original price was £125 and 10 shillings back in the day. And something we've noticed from this picture here is, if you look at the kind of steering handlebars, they are kind of flat and then curve up at the end. Whereas if we look back to our tractor, you can see that they kind of curve up and then go down, which suggests to me that these handlebars are on upside down, which is strange because obviously this part is the right angle, so it suggests possibly something's been done in the past here, cut and re-welded possibly, but not fully sure on that. That needs some looking into. That brings me to the first thing we've noticed, which is there is a bit of steering wear on this, which will need sorting. Obviously that's a secondary issue after getting it running. The previous owner had just put a full set of tyres on it before we bought it, so that's good. Originally I think these would have been solid rubber, but now it's got pneumatic tyres on it. Another thing the previous owner did was put this on, which is a plastic sheet just for the side there for safety, seeing as the blade for the single blade deck spins around pretty fast in there and gets quite close to the edge. And that is a 25-inch deck on there, and there have been some repairs made to it where it's been rusted in the past. You can kind of see there, and more on the other side. But while it's sorted the issue of any holes, it doesn't look too pretty, so that's going to need some attention in future to make it look better. Another thing the previous owner did was switch out the 4 horsepower Briggs and Stratton engine for this 5 horsepower Briggs, because he said that the 4 horsepower model was quite difficult to source parts for, and he found it easier to put this 5 horse engine in because you can get parts for this easier apparently. Now the only major downside to this is it's quite awkward to access the pull start cord, but I'm sure we can do something about that in future. Now the whole tractor has been repainted. Paint quality isn't the best, so if we were to try and show this in future we would probably want to do something about it, but for the moment it will certainly do. It's not like it's all falling off or anything. And when it comes to controls, we've only kind of learned what we can learn from the small bit of literature that we've got and looking at stuff. Obviously your steering uses the handlebars like this. I believe this to be a brake pedal here. You've got one gear stick here and one here, which on this tractor you have 2 speeds in forwards and reverse, so you've got first and second in forwards and reverse. So one of these will be forwards and reverse, the other one will be first and second. Not sure which way around they are at the moment, but I should probably figure that out before we get it started up. This is the belt tensioner to engage the deck, which doesn't seem to work fully, so I need to investigate what's going on with that. This is the deck lift lever, which is quite stiff, so that needs looking into as well to try and loosen that up and see if we can improve the lifting mechanism a bit. And then on this side there is another little pedal here, which I think might be a clutch for either the gearbox or the deck. I'm not fully sure at the moment, but that's kind of why we wanted some of those manuals and stuff, so that we can understand better what some of these parts are. Now I've hopped onto the Landmaster here, and it is a bit of a tight fit, but it's not too bad actually for its size. Now our plans for this tractor, first off we need to understand how it works a bit better, and then that will allow us to get it running and functioning completely as it should do, running, driving and possibly cutting. And then we'll form a plan for kind of our long-term goals with this tractor, which I would like to get this in a show-worthy condition. So possibly giving some attention to the paint, putting some decals on and stuff like that, and getting this so that we could take it to shows in a good state for that. But that is quite a way away at the moment. I think first off we need to focus on just understanding it and getting the engine running. And somewhere in that timeline we need to put some padding on the seat because it's quite uncomfortable. So now I will hop off of here before my back hurts too much, and we can talk about plans for other things coming up. Now to talk about our projects going forward, and we've had a bit of a move around. We've got 3 of our 8.5 Ride-a-matics here, and there's a reason for that, and you'll find that out in a second. But obviously the main thing we're going to get back to is the 1960 Ride-a-matic mechanical restoration that we're doing. And we'd like to get back on with that and see if we can get that finished in the next few months, ideally. Obviously there's a lot of work to do on that, but nothing we can't handle, I'm sure. And then the next idea starts with this 61 Ride-a-matic and the 2 other Ride-a-matics that we've bought this year, which are both 1962s. Now, all 3 of them have one thing in common, well, 2 things actually: they don't run, and all 3 of them are electric start. However, all of them have slightly been modified in their own different ways, so our plan for those is to get all 3 of them lined up in the workshop here, take the hoods off all of them, and see if we can find the original bits on some of them and kind of replicate that across all 3 so that we have 3 that have completely original wiring and all that stuff. And hopefully by the end of that project we would have 3 more working Ride-a-matics, all of them electric starts. They're probably more reliable than a pull start, or easier to start than pull start. And yeah, we just like these Ride-a-matic tractors, so it'll be good to have 3 more going. And to do this, we've started collecting parts, such as steering wheel for this. This steering wheel is actually off the Bolens 600 parts tractor that we've got, but it's the same steering wheel as a Ride-a-matic, so that can be replaced onto there. We've got a new seat for this, flywheel, some other parts for this, and then down there we have a couple of boxes of parts which are for the other 2 Ride-a-matics. So we are well equipped when it comes to doing this project. However, it will probably wait until after the 1960 Ride-a-matic, or at least until we've progressed a decent amount further on that. Now, talking of Ride-a-matics, the 62 Ride-a-matic has been used absolutely tons on this channel and gets used a lot behind the scenes too, but we need to do some necessary maintenance work on this so that it actually stays as good as it has been. As I just showed, the front axle wear on this is appalling. It's probably the worst of all of our Ride-a-matics, and it's the one we use most, which is definitely not how that should work. So we need to do some work on that and possibly some other things on this to make sure it stays reliable. Now we've come to this realization through another thing, which is one of us may or may not have broken our Bolens HT23. That has a cracked cylinder head, so that needs replacing at some point. And when we do that job, we'll probably also replace the leaking crankshaft oil seal that's been leaking for the last few years, but we haven't gotten around to sorting that out. So at some point we'll get that HT23 in here and sort out all of the engine problems it has. So that is pretty much our plans going forward for projects. And one more thing before we go is that obviously me taking a break for a couple of months from this YouTube stuff has been slightly detrimental to our progress and channel growth and reach and stuff like that. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that has kind of stuck around and waited for me to come back and is watching this video again now. And if everyone wouldn't mind helping me out in getting back to where we were before, please do leave us a like on this video and subscribe. It will help me out greatly getting back to where we were, and hopefully we can continue to grow the channel and do more of these projects. But that is it for this video. Let us know in the comments what you think of our project ideas with the 3 Ride-a-matics and our new arrival, the Landmaster. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.